Hey folks, it's Mike, Kilo Echo Zero Victor India Mike, the Travelin Ham, and today we are going to get into GMRS with the Talkpod A36 Plus. Let's go. Okay folks, here's the deal. I'm at the bottom of the Grand Canyon. This is going to be a special one. We're way up this mountain. This is the operating station here.
Kilo Echo Zero Victor India Mike, Park to Park.
The traveler has come.
It was a huge, beastly, bulging man. Plates were from Kansas.
This radio was sent to me from the folks at Talkpod to make this video review. Still going to be an objective and subjective, what's good, what's bad kind of review, but in full disclosure, I was sent this radio to make this video. So why would we want to get into GMRS radio? What is the advantage? What's the advantage to getting an FCC license, paying $35, buying these radios that are more expensive than the regular walkie-talkies, and using these to communicate? What's the advantage? Well, with your typical FRS radios, you're going to be transmitting with a maximum power of half a watt, or on some channels you can transmit up to 2 watts. Each channel is not the same. Did you know that? But some channels you can transmit up to 2 watts, and some of your walkie-talkie radios will automatically adjust for that on those channels. With GMRS, on the half a watt channels, we still transmit at half a watt, but on the other channels we can transmit up to 5 watts, so more than twice the power. And on some channels we can have mobile units in our vehicles that can run up to 50 watts. Another option is you can set up a GMRS repeater at a home or some sort of base station so that your radios can then make it into your repeater. And then that repeater will then have a broader range that can repeat that signal out over an area. For a lot of us that are full-time RVers, this is a great solution when we are traveling in multiple vehicles, if we're caravanning, or some of us have a tow vehicle that pulls the RV, and some folks have a family van or some other more easily usable family vehicle that you drive around town with. You got to drive both of those to wherever you're going, and while you're traveling you can use these to communicate, because you don't have to get separated by very much for the typical FRS walkie-talkies to start losing signal. GMRS licenses are probably the best option if you have a group of people that you would like to have radio privileges somewhere where you can use higher power. If you're in a 4x4 group and you want to have 50 watt mobile radios, which is a lot more powerful than your 4 watt CB radios, that's an easy way to get it, because it's basically like getting a fishing license. You pay $35, fill out a form, and you got it. And everyone can do that. You don't have to pass any tests. It doesn't take anybody's time, really. So this GMRS license is in my name, but it covers my entire immediate family. There's no problem with my wife nor my 2 kids using this radio and accessing the privileges that we've paid for 10 years. And I have our call sign labeled right there on the bottom. For whatever reason, they should need to know that. And, you know, most humans aren't going to be able to remember that the few times that you might actually need it. So it's good to have it labeled there on the bottom for their use. So what kind of range are we talking about? Well, it's kind of a loaded question. There are oftentimes ranges listed on the boxes of these products, and guys, those are almost always complete bunk. There are so many factors that come into play when you talk about range with your radio. You're talking about line of sight, and you're usually not up on top of a mountain peak talking to people down below you, and that's when figures like that come in handy. But when we're down here where real people live, where actual humans live, we've got other RVs, we've got trees, we've got houses and buildings all around us, and all those things absorb signals and cause us to lose range. So if you see ranges of 40 and 50 miles, guys, no. You're going to be in the single digits of miles on these, and with FRS, you're generally talking about fractions of a mile. So let's talk about the Talkpod for a little bit here. First impressions are pretty good. First of all, I'm a color guy. Anytime I have a color option, I love it. It upsets me that so many of you out there are forced to live in various shades of beige houses because that's the only thing you're allowed to have. And yet when you go to more exotic, interesting places in the world, by golly, all their buildings are all these fabulous colors. I'm a color guy. If I can get something that's this color, that makes me happy. Bright red, bright blue, bright yellow. I don't care. I'll take pink. Plus, I'm getting old, and it's hard to remember where I put stuff. I can find this easily. It feels good in the hand. It's got good weight to it, and all the buttons have a very positive click and press to them. It sounds like a little thing. That's important. Here's the bad thing I noticed. This little cover right here covers up your port for your headphones and your mic, and the cable that you would plug into to hook up to your computer if you wanted to program it with your computer. This door does not want to stay closed. It kind of just presses down in there, and the end of it, this front face, just wants to keep kind of halfway popping out, and that's going to affect your water resistance rating. So right now, I mean, water could leak in there pretty easily and get in there. So, you know, if I had paid for this, I'd probably be sending it back just for that reason alone, because if I send Selena out in the rain to help back me into a spot, she needs to be able to use this knowing that she's not going to ruin it. All right, so let's take a quick look around the radio here. On top, you got your on and off and your volume knob. You've got your alarm button right there that can be reprogrammed to do a few other things too. You got your press to talk button here, and you have 2 programmable buttons here, which is nice. And you can set the program for the quick press, and you can also program it for a long press. Number 3 button here comes default as a monitor button, and this is great. If your signal is getting broken up, you can press and listen. Obviously, we're just hearing static now, but if Selena was talking to me, but the squelch keeps cutting on and off, and I'm getting a broken up signal, I can press and hold that, and I will hear her voice in all that static. And I will probably hear it clear enough that I can understand what she's trying to tell me. So that's always a good function to know where that's at. So your basic operation is going to be fairly simple. I'm going to be working on channel A most of the time, and I'm going to be using these buttons
20, 21,
to go
20,
on the different channels.
19, 15, 10, 8.
So channels 1 through 7 are all
9,
high power.
8, 7.
You can see right there I've got it programmed, so it changed that to high power on channel 7, because we can use up to 5 watts there. Then if I go up to 8,
8.
it changes it to low power. That's where we can only use half a watt on 8 through 14.
9, 12, 14.
So a lot of times what we do on our walkie-talkies is we work here in low power on channel 14, and that conserves battery in our radios. But if we get to where we can't hear each other, for whatever reason, we're getting too far apart, there's too many obstructions between us,
15.
we'll just tune up to channel 15, and now we're in high power. And on the walkie-talkies, that would be a change from half a watt to 2 watts. But with these radios, I'm changing from half a watt to 5 watts. So now I got 10 times the power by going up to channel 15. And if you have a mobile unit from channels 15 and up, you can use 50 watts. So if I've got a mobile unit in the truck, let's say, or in the RV, I can run a lot, even 10 times more power than this on those.
16.
And they go up
17,
to channel 22.
18, 19, 20, 2.
So you get up to 22, and then after that you get to channels where you'd be talking to repeaters on channel 23 and up, or this is called repeater 15.
24, 25.
One thing to keep in mind is the microphone is in that hole right there. So you need to try to talk more into the upper part of the radio as opposed to the lower. I did also notice at one point when the wife and I were communicating with these, it was breaking up. She had my TID radio that I did a review on a few months ago. She was running that one, and I had this radio, and her voice was breaking up, and I'm only catching about half of what she's saying, and I can't understand it. So I looked in the side view mirror of the truck and saw the angle at which she was holding her radio, and she had it at that ergonomic position, which tends to put the antenna at about a 45-degree angle. So I took my radio as I'm looking in the mirror and matched the angle to hers, and voila, I heard her solid at that point. So another trick to keep in mind when you're using these handhelds, and that's GMRS or FRS. For those of you that are kind of newer to this, you know, the angle at which you hold that antenna can matter if it's breaking up. You know, try to train your family to hold it upright is absolutely best, but in that case, as long as you're matching, that's the important part. All right, so these programmable buttons, how do I have them set up? Well, there's, this is basically button 1. That's the PTT button. And then you have button 2 and button 3 here also. So button 2 I have set up to transmit on the B channel, the channel that you see down at the bottom here. There's A at the top and B at the bottom. Hopefully you can see that in the camera in my semi-outdoor environment here. Then button 3, if I push that,
Scanning begin.
I have that set to scan. Whenever I want to scan, I'm always looking for what the scan button is. I wish there was just always a dedicated scan button. The other scan button is the AB button. And if you hold that,
Scanning begin.
that scans too, but I'm not going to remember that. So now I've got 2 places when I'm fumbling around looking for a scan,
Stop.
I can use that. And then you just hit PTT to make it stop. If you want some entertainment in the campground while people are pulling in and pulling out and parking their trailers, you can scan around and listen to their conversations. That's pretty good entertainment. You can also set these extra buttons to
Menu.
go to, let's see, you can program it to pull up NOAA weather radar. There it is. So now I've got P3 to where it will bring up NOAA. Let's see how that works.
On.
Okay, that's not a good channel. There's usually 10 NOAA channels. And if you just pan through, I'm just going through the NOAA channels here. Generally, you'll find one that's close enough you can hear it. I've been all the way through them. Here's my monitor. There's some signal weak in there. Huh. Well, that demo didn't go like I thought it would. Okay, my location here appears to be in a weather radio dead zone, unfortunately. I've got my Yaesu FT2D, so we've gone from a $50 radio to like a $400 radio, and I know I've picked up weather radio on this before. So to not get the weather radio on this tells me that we don't have a real good weather radio signal right here. So we'll excuse the Talkpod for not picking up anything there. Still a handy feature to have, just to, press that at a moment's notice, and then you can just scan through the 10 channels, see which one is the strongest signal, will be the closest one to you, and probably the right one. So this green button in here will allow you to access the menu system, and you can panel around through all that and make changes as you need to the settings. Most of these things are going to be kind of set and forget for a GMRS radio. You're not going to be needing to get in here too much. There are a few handy little things in there that we'll talk about, but for the most part, you're going to do this once, and then you're just going to be using the channels, and you should be good to go. Now, one of the cool things in here is menu item number 52. You see it says instructions, and if I push that, I get into that menu where it's blinking red. Man, I hope you can see that.
Confirm.
See that right there? That's a QR code. You probably recognize that. If you scan that with your phone, it'll bring up the user manual for your radio. That's pretty cool. So in here, you're going to be able to do some basic stuff like change your power, change your squelch setting. There's some repeater functions that you're going to be able to work with in here. There's CTCSS tones that you can set in here. You can program your memories. There's some digital code tones that you can set in here. So what you can do with the CTCSS tones is, if you're in an area, let's say, that has a lot of people operating on some radios like this one, be it FRS or GMRS, and the channel's getting a little crowded, and you're on, let's say, channel 9, and there's a few other people also operating on channel 9. Well, you can choose to operate with a CTCSS tone, but what that does is when you transmit a signal and you've got CTCSS activated on here, it transmits, along with your voice, it transmits another sub-audible tone. It's sub-audible. It's the frequency is too low for you to be able to hear, but the other radio will pick it up. And if their radio is programmed to look for that sub-audible tone with the signal, then it'll open the squelch in their radio. And what that'll do is you will only hear signals that transmit that tone. So if my radio and Selena's radio are programmed to send and look for those tones, then we will only hear each other. Now, this is not a privacy tone like a lot of radios sell it as. Other people who are just listening to Channel 9 and don't have any CTCSS frequency programmed in their radio, they will still hear you. If they try to talk back to you, then you won't hear them. So it's opposite of privacy. It's not that they can't hear you, it's that you can't hear them. So if you look in the A channel up here, we can change the format of the information that it shows us about our channel. If we press and hold on the red exit button here, let's get to where we can see it there. I think you can see that there. So there it's showing the frequency that the channel is tuned to. And there it shows the channel number. And there it shows the name that was given to the channel. So in this case, the channel name is kind of the channel number. It's called GMRS 19. Now, if you've got a ham license, you can also unlock this radio so you can get ham radio frequencies on here too in the UHF and VHF bands. I think we may end up having my wife use this radio. I think that's the way it's going to go. I'm using this right now to review it, but when I'm done with this, I think she'll probably want to use this one, and I'll get the bulkier, less pretty TID radio that I'll talk to her with. And when we do that, I'll probably program this a little bit different, so there won't be ham functions on there and other setting changes that will, that would just confuse her. If she hit the wrong button, then all of a sudden it's doing something strange. So I'll make this as vanilla as possible, to where all she needs to do is push the button or hit the up and down arrows to change the channels, and that's it. The power is all preset in there. There's nothing else that she'll have to change. Here's a feature everybody likes. Right here, it's got a USB-C charging port. I charge this in a cradle, but you can charge this with a USB-C cord. And if something happens to this connection, it's part of the battery. So if you get a new battery, you get a new port, and you're still in business there. But you can see it's got the contacts here on the back. I'm charging this guy most of the time in the cradles, because that's just where it sits in the RV. Okay, folks, we're going to do a little bit of a range test here. We got the Talkpod. We are at the camp here. I'm going to see, I got 3 miles of road till I get down the highway. A lot of trees. The other radio is actually inside the RV, so that's going to have some interference in it there. We'll see how far we can get with this guy. Reset the trip. All right, I'm getting ready to pull out. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, dog.
I think he thinks that's my radio call or something. That's my handle,
Yeah,
dog.
Roger, copy that.
Okay, I'm at the entrance of the campground. You still copy good?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. How about that? That's the daughter. Setup's gonna walk around on me a little bit. Tripod just sitting there on the dash. 0.2 miles. 0.4 miles. Road's winding around some trees. Put some objects between me and that other radio. Okay, I'm half mile out. Can you guys still hear me? Negative copy. I'm a half mile out. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes, but it's still a little fuzzy.
Yeah, you're getting a little fuzzy to me too, but I got you there. Thank you. Yeah, I didn't have too much hope with all this vegetation. All this vegetation and the fact that they've got the radio in the RV. I don't expect the range to be great. But, you know, this is a good example. This is 5 watts. We're running 5 watts, which is 10 times what you'll be running a lot of times on a regular walkie-talkie. And already at half mile, we're having some trouble. And that's not because of these radios. That's because we're putting a lot of stuff between ourselves, between our units here. Let's see if we still got it at a mile. I'm probably going to lose it. All right, 1 mile checkpoint here. I don't think this is going to work. Let's see. Turn off the truck just in case there's any interference there. Okay, I'm at 1 mile. 1 mile. How do you copy? Dog to bro, I'm at the 1 mile checkpoint. How do you copy? Over.
I got you, dog, bro. I can hear you loud and clear. Well, not really. Kind of fuzzy.
Okay, I still got you. I can hear you if I push that that monitor button that turns the static on. So 1 mile out, we're still good, even through all these trees.
Negative copy.
Are you using the button like I showed you?
No, but that is a good idea.
Okay, so if you push and hold that static button, you should be able to hear my voice and all that static. Over.
I can hear you, but it's still really, really staticky.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to go out to 1.5 miles next.
Okie dokie.
That's cool. I figured we'd lost it by then. This whole area is forested for lumber. So a lot of these trees they're planted pretty tight. Everything's pretty close together out in that forest. Pretty thick. A lot of things to block or absorb a signal. All right, 1.5 miles. We'll check it here. Okay, I'm at 1.5 miles. 1.5 miles. Do you read me? Over.
Yes, I read you. Oddly, it's clearer than it was before.
Okay, I am kind of by clearing in the trees now, but it's still got to go through some trees to get to you, but that's good to know.
Roger, roger.
WSAT 496. Nothing. 1.5 miles. Still cooking. All right. I would say no way a FRS, a walkie-talkie, an FRS radio makes it this far. I don't think so. In general situations, you get to 1 mile, they're gonna start fading out. All right, we're at our 2 mile checkpoint. Okay, I'm at 2 miles. 2 miles. How do you read me? Over. All right, they're not breaking my squelch if they're answering. 2 miles. I'm at 2 miles. How do you read me? Over. Dog to bro, I'm at 2 miles. Do you still read me? Over. Okay, that seems like a negative right there. I'm at my 2 mile checkpoint. 2 miles. Do you read me? Over. Okay, so looking up ahead, it looks like the train kind of goes uphill. I might drive to that spot. We'll see if it gets better. Get to a little high point, and then it's downhill to the road from here. So it's right here, or we're done. I'm at 2.4 miles. We'll call it 2.5. One last time. Okay, I'm at 2.5 miles. 2.5 miles. Do you copy? Over. I'm at my 2.5 mile checkpoint. 2.5 miles. Do you copy? Over. All right, so seems like we're done there. We made it out to 2 miles, which is still pretty good through all this interference growing up around us here, this tightly packed forest. So that's not bad, but it's a good, realistic test of what a range of one of these radios is like. Not going to be 40 or 50 miles. Not even if you live in a place like Kansas that's, you know, you can go for miles and it'd be pretty clear. It's just things that get in the way. And if you have two adults holding a radio to their mouths, once they're 7 miles apart, curvature of the earth starts blocking the signal. So even to go beyond 7 miles, you're going to need help of some kind to get that signal all the way to the receiver. All right, we're going to try 1.75 miles here, since I got cut off at 1.5 miles, somewhere between 1.5 miles, 2 miles. Let's see if 1.75 miles gets it. Okay, I'm at 1.75 miles, 1.75 miles. How do you copy? Over. Hello, I'm at 1.75 miles, 1.75 miles. How do you copy? Over. Okay, well, 1.5 miles was it. Another feature we need to talk about with these guys is what we hams call spectral purity. And what I mean by that, when I am transmitting on one channel on this radio, am I also transmitting on harmonics of that frequency? So let's just take some easy numbers to keep it simple. Let's say you're transmitting on 100 megahertz. Okay, you're being the FM band, so don't do that. But let's say we're transmitting on 100 megahertz. We'll have harmonics on multiples of that frequency. So 100 megahertz, 200 megahertz, 300 megahertz, 400 megahertz. On all those, you could be transmitting your signal on all those as well, because they are multiples of the frequency that your radio is set to. Now, a good quality radio is going to be designed such with filters inside that will keep it from transmitting on those extra frequencies, right? We only want to occupy the frequency that we are intending to use. We don't want to be using up extra frequency space and just jamming up the bands with tons of signals. We could be interfering with folks that we don't intend to, and that could include emergency personnel, let's say. I encourage you to watch other review videos to see what they say about the spectral purity. Okay, this isn't an act here. I live in an RV. I don't have room. I don't have weight allowances to carry test equipment to do proper tests on this stuff. There are people on YouTube who have done that, and I encourage you to look at them. It seems as though the first people who received these radios said these radios, the signals were very, very dirty and were transmitting on a lot of those harmonics. Some videos have come out later with newer versions of this radio that have been cleaned up, let's say, and without just reducing the power, they have cleaned up those harmonics, and they're not transmitting on those multiples like the early models were. So maybe that's been cleaned up. I leave that research to you. Keep looking for update videos on that. I'm sure there will be more in the future on testing, not only this one, but all the TID radio and all the Baofangs as to whether or not these things are actually clean. I found this Talkpod A36 Plus to be very usable. There are some downsides, like the spectral purity we talked about before. This cover, that's something. And then there was another YouTuber that mentioned this too. So I know that's a problem there in the manufacturing process. Those are the negatives. The great thing about a lot of these radios is they're just so affordable. It's hard to lose if you buy one of these. Even if it's not perfect, it's fine because we didn't pay that much for them. Another radio I showed you was about $400. So if I'm going to go somewhere that might be an environment that is harsh on radios, I'd much rather take one like this. I'm only out $50 if something happens to it. Okay, folks, the first thing you're going to have to do here to get your GMRS license is you're going to have to go here to the FCC homepage, or I guess this is the homepage. It's the FCC User Registration System page. And you're going to go down here to create a new account, and this is going to create what they call a CORS account. Now, this is a government website, and it is everything that you would expect it to be. So don't expect a great experience here, but you're going to fill out this form, create an account. That's going to give you a CORS account name and a password. And from there, you're going to be able to apply for an FRN number. And that FRN number is going to be how the FCC site identifies you, and every radio license you get will be referenced to that FRN. So that's the first thing you have to do, is get your FRN registered after you get a CORS account. And from there, you'll be able to apply for your new GMRS license. All right, so here we are on the FCC website, and I am logged into my account here. You can see my ham call sign here. Got some other personal information on here. Obviously, I'm showing you my address, but you know what, guys? I'm the Travelin AM. You ain't gonna find me there. Trust me. That's just where the mail shows up. So from here, we're gonna go up to this selection up here at the top. Apply for a new license. And GMRS. Oh, it's a coded system. It must be like GM or something like that, right? For a general mobile radio service, right? Nope. All the way at the bottom. ZA for general mobile radio service. Okie dokie. Alright, these look like some default settings. We'll keep those the same. Fill out information here that they already have. Has the applicant or any party to this application or any party directly or indirectly ever been convicted of a felony? That's a negative, Ghost Rider. They ain't caught me yet. Okay, looks like it's going to be a $35 fee. I did expect that. Continue to certify. Sounds good. Bunch of legalese here. Sign at the bottom. Ain't got no title. Your application has been successfully submitted. Any future reference to this application must be made using the application file number, which is this number right there. Total due $35. U.S. Treasury will reject credit card transactions greater than $25,000. Okay. I've never had to pay before, so this will be new. Oh dear. Okay. All right. I'm going to put in my username and my password. Now what? Oh boy, this is a government form. How do I pay? So you get to this page, this is where you will go to associate your username to an FRN, or some of you might do it backwards and associate your FRN to the username. Bills and fees, there we go. Pay fees. Man, how many times do I have to log in? Oh my gosh. Oh boy. It seems like it could have just taken me to a credit card pay page immediately following where I was. Here I gotta put in my FRN again. Definitely cut this stuff out. Okay, I think I'm done. I'm not sure how long it takes to get confirmation. All right, guys, Kilo Echo Zero, Victor India Mike, the Travelin' Ham with the new radio. Probably not one that's going to go on too many adventures with me, but this is going to be something that helps us out quite a bit in our daily lives. This is KE0VIM, the Travelin' Ham, with the Talkpod A36 Plus 7.3. Okay, folks, here's the deal. I'm at the bottom of the Grand Canyon. This is going to be a special one. We're way up this mountain. This is the operating station here.
Kilo Echo Zero Victor India Mike parked apart.
The traveler has come.
He was a huge, beastly, bulging man. Plates were from Kansas.